Hello and welcome to Bergen Stages Television, our entertainment magazine here at Bergen Community College. I am Jim Bumgardner, your host, and today we're going to be talking about the current production we have going on here at the campus called 12 Angry Jurors, and it's adapted by Sheldon Sergel, and we've got two of our cast members here. So I'm going to introduce Eivor Neal, who plays juror number 9.
Yes.
And Sean Kane, who plays juror number 4.
Correct.
Great. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're going to talk about the show and what an incredible script it is, and the work that you've been doing putting it together, and the environment you're putting it together in. But I want our audience to get to know you guys a little bit better. So, Eivor, can you give us a little background? What got you to Bergen Community College? How did we get you here?
Well, I've always wanted to study something I was in love with. And as a dancer for so long, I really loved acting. Didn't get to act a lot during high school because in Brazil we don't have that much support for the arts, especially public schools. I didn't get to do any of that. So when I got here, I had the opportunity of looking into something I really want to do, and Bergen's curriculum for the acting program really was inviting me. Okay. And I remember the first time I came for the open house, I saw you, and it's funny that I asked you, oh, how's the theater program?
Wow, we've come full circle.
Yeah.
And you got to us from Brazil. How long have you been in the U.S.?
This is my 7th year here.
7th year. Wow.
Yeah, this is my 7th year.
You're an old-timer now.
Yeah, I'm already used to the cold.
That's true, too. Boy, a whole different changes. And Sean Kane, great to have you back on the show.
Yeah.
I'm so thrilled that you're doing another show here on campus and able to talk to us today about the show we're currently doing.
I'm just glad to be back on stage, even though I was thinking, oh, man, it's been so long since I've been on stage. But it was about 2 years ago when I did Underpants with the Radburn Players and the pandemic hit. So it's like, it hasn't really been that long because everybody's been closed.
Right. It's just kind of this void that we've all been living in, and now we're back at it. So, which is great. So, Sean, just remind us your background. What got you, and you're on staff here at the college.
Yes, I'm a non-teaching faculty. I've been at the college for over 19 years now. Yeah, no, it just flown by,
We're
but
about the same. I think
I started theater when I was, I believe it was 25 or 26. I went to Ramapo College. I was a bio major, and after 2 years as a bio major, I decided, let me see what else is out there, and wound up doing theater. Awesome. And you know, it's been a wild ride, but you know, done a lot of shows. You know, community theater and here. So, but it's been a lot of fun. I've met a lot of amazing people, and getting back to educational theater has been an eye-opener. It kind of takes you back to your roots,
right? And
also, you know, it's fun watching the growth of some of these students.
And it's fun having you there so that they can watch you and go, oh, that's how a professional does this sort of thing. You know, how you know, I think it's great. It's great to have you as a peer mentor there for them in the cast as well. So yeah, theater. So how come you didn't get started until 25? You weren't interested in theater high school or any of that?
Well, I mean, one of the problems was memorization. When I was a Boy Scout, I never made it to tenderfoot because I couldn't remember a scout is kind, courteous, thrifty, and whatever those other things
those
were.
Lines.
Yeah, those darn lines. So I never really decided, you know, okay, let's try this. And you know, actually, the way I got in was through the technical side, because they were building a set, and I took a theater history class, and the professor was like, if anybody knows how to use a hammer, come on down. I went down. They realized I could cut a straight line with a saw.
This is high school.
No, this is
College.
Ramapo College.
Oh, this is Ramapo. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
But and through that, then I got into the theater program and then acting, and all of a sudden it's like, I can remember the lines.
Yes. Trust me, as we get a little older,
yeah, I know.
I don't know why.
This play is a challenge, but you know.
Eivor, in Brazil, you said you didn't have a support system with the arts, basically, but you did do some dancing while you were there?
Oh, yeah. I started dancing professionally when I was 18.
Wow.
So I was in a couple of shows, all dancing shows, like
And
the
this was
ballet.
outside of any kind of school or anything like this?
Yeah,
This was just
outside
kind-
school. It
uh-huh,
was when I finally was able to pay for a school,
uh-huh.
a specific
Gotcha,
school, a
gotcha.
dance school. Then I started doing ballet, jazz, contemporary, and modern dance.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite jazz, always Broadway jazz.
Cool.
That
Oh,
was
good.
the whole reason I decided to come to New York,
Uh-huh.
end up in New Jersey. But my focus always was for learning way more about acting and dancing for Broadway shows.
Mm-hmm. And that's so true because a lot of dancers don't get a chance to learn acting and they're suddenly thrown up there, but it's like you're still playing this prince that's about to kill the swan. You know, there's got to be some acting going on, not just the dance, yeah?
I've always felt that somewhat dance is connected to acting because I feel a different person when I'm on stage, when I'm dancing. I'm not ever, I'm just, you know, the white swan. I'm that swan. I'm not me anymore.
You've created a character.
I created a character. I've always done that for dancing.
But dance schools don't really
No,
do
but
that for you.
dancing
You did it
dance school
yourself.
do not provide you with any acting background. Only learn steps. You only learn steps. I was just very fortunate because I had one teacher that she also liked acting. So she would sometimes, just imagine you are this tree or you are this animal, and when you go home, watch videos, try to think how this animal would act, and then you incorporate the steps into it, but feel it first.
The character first and then let the morph out of it as opposed to the other way around. Interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, but this is not something common. Just
Dancers don't get an opportunity to do that often enough, but a lot would love to, I'm sure, like you are.
oh yes, it gives you a whole new perspective, and it allows you to go deeper into what you do. And dance is not only steps.
Right.
It's the feeling, it's the moment, it's what you live in right now.
And it's a story, and you're trying to convey that story to your audience, so you just want to make sure through your acting and your steps that story comes across. Interesting. Are you still dancing?
Here and there. I'm not currently in any classes. Actually, I stopped my classes last year. Fortunately, I couldn't really figure out how to be a student,
How
a
to dance
worker,
online was
and
kind of
I did online last year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Dancing online.
Yeah, it's crazy, but I did.
Got to have a lot of room in your place.
A little corner.
Yeah, right?
So Sean, what your background? Did you ever take any acting classes while you were at Ramapo? Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
Once-
So you were a
once
theater
I-
major.
Yes, once I transferred over to theater major, then I took some classes with Eileen Nakamura. Oh God, there was Mary Ellen Allison. Trying to remember some of the teachers back then, but that was
Tara, was Tara there at that time?
Carol. Actually,
Tara.
no, she
Oh, okay.
wasn't.
Okay.
I actually graduated from Ramapo in '89,
Okay.
so it's been
It's a
a while.
few years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, just a couple.
Well, they've got a new building now.
Yes. The theater, actually back then their main stage was an auditorium with the kind of bleachers that come out of the.
Oh, wow,
Yeah,
wow,
so we
wow,
had to
they've come a
build the
long way.
stage every
Wow,
time.
wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So now they have the whole Berry Center, and it's a
And what a
gorgeous
great
space.
program they have.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
it's so many of our students will finish here at Bergen and transfer over to
Yep.
Ramapo because it's a great relationship that we have. And then we've actually had students still here in performing with them.
That's right.
Because they'll let our students audition for them as well.
Yeah.
So it's a great relationship with the school. They don't have a dance major, but they do have a theater majors in
Yes.
their liberal arts program for acting. But it's a great thing there. So talk about some of the other shows you've done with the other community, because I'd love to plug them a little bit, because
Oh,
with the
well,
pandemic, we've forgotten all of them exist.
Radburn Players, I was actually on the board for a while, and I was building sets for them. And last show I did was Underpants when the pandemic hit.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was
feel that.
2020. Yeah, March 2020 was, we opened, and halfway through the week, all of a sudden, one of our players was in the hospital, and I think a total of 4 or 5 of us got sick, and it was a hard hit.
So quickly, too.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, this is amazing.
But
yeah.
I've done shows with them. I did, trying to remember some of the groups. There was a group out in Dover that I did shows with, and then the old library theater. And you know, I've just, you get around, people find out, oh, a guy who acts and works on sets? Would you like to audition?
All right, we'll take you.
And just auditioning for being in this show, you know, I've had somebody come up to me and say, oh, we're having auditions for a show coming up, and would you like? I'm like,
they're already one at a time. Let me just kind of get through this one.
I told my wife, okay, one a year maybe.
So Radburn hasn't been producing anything yet. They're hopefully getting back up and going.
Hopefully.
There. I think Old Library have been doing some things both virtually and
correct. And I believe they just
person.
had, you know, auditions go out for something.
Yeah, I think I saw that too. And we've been fortunate. This fall we did both of our productions in person in the Saccone Theater. So it's been great to kind of to bring audiences back. And I think for actors, it's, you know, did you do any of the virtual
No, I did
shows?
not.
Did you do any virtual plays? It's tough.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
You don't have that vibe. And I know that one of our fears with this show was, okay, with the Omicron, are we going to be virtual? Are we going to have anybody?
Right. Yeah.
Are we even, I mean, the cast is all in the room at the same time, and you have 13 people, and it's
which has been a very, you know, we've been very good to make sure of vaccination status, health issues, and all those kind of stuffs. And
if anybody feels sick, stay home.
Stay home. You know, we're okay. We'll get, you know, let's do it one day at a time. And then I guess we could switch if we had to do the show virtually. We could certainly do it.
Correct.
We wouldn't want to, because I think you're right. You want that feedback from the audience.
Yeah, it's a completely different scenario when you were just looking into a camera and trying to act not only the audience, but your peers, people, the actors you're acting with. You need the response. Like for example, I feel that I really need that look into the eyes and then say, I'm telling you.
Right, yes.
And the response that will come, you know, it's an exchange of energies.
And it could be nonverbal, just that they shoot you a look, and you're not going to get that virtually. It's kind of hard to do that virtually.
It's
and we're not
really
about
hard.
We're not about doing movies. That's not what we do. That's not our aim here with the programs and for the shows that we do. So suddenly we're trying to make everybody do this, but do it in their own rooms on separate cameras. Like, I know we wanted to work, and I think we all did the best we could, but I think I'm so tired. Somebody said, hey, do you want to watch this? I went, I really don't. I just, you know, it's not a movie. We're doing this in-between thing. But we had to do what we could to get through this. But and that said, you're in a different theater too. You've only worked in the Saccone, yes? You have not worked in Inter Hall before.
Yes, I never worked.
The bigger
on
theater.
Yeah.
And you've done all the theaters. So you're good at both.
Of course, the director, Jared, I did
Jared
Exonerated with him. I think it was 13 years ago.
Which show?
Exonerated.
Oh, right. Oh, my gosh, yes. In that theater. Yep.
And that was, you know, that's one of the reasons why I came out of hibernation. You know, you mentioned you ran into me, and Jared had asked if I was going to audition. You know. So that's one of the reasons, because he is a very good director, and he has a site that he wants to present, and he's very good with working with some actors that really don't have the experience.
And I think that gets into the educational part that you were talking about. It's great. You know, we're not expecting you to be a pro when you get up there. The directors are teachers as well. So it's not that you just stop and say, get up there and do something. You've got to, you know, a little bit more teaching goes involved with it, which is kind of cool. And I think it leans on you too as a thespian.
I don't, I just go out there and, you know, hopefully I can set a good example. Some of these students are way better actors than I am, but it's just a matter of, you know, hopefully they learn that, you know, you have to be on time.
Right.
You have to you do your homework.
All those rules, all those rules.
Oh,
and that's part of the teaching lesson that we have here. Well, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to talk specifically about 12 Angry Jurors and about what's going on here. So thank you, guys. Thank you. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be back to talk to Sean and Evora about the show. Thanks.
This is the story of a boy who is very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help, and slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Hello.
Hi, I'm from Blue Hood Stone Barns. We brought a meal for you and I'm here to serve it to you.
Okay, great. Come in.
Zucchini carbonara, made from zucchini that was harvested earlier this morning.
Again?
Hey, Dan Barber.
You have room for a little bit more?
Come
Yeah,
on
come on
in.
in.
Brochettes with sausage. So when we made that zucchini carbonara, you know, they're the end pieces of the zucchini, and they're the cores that we cut away, not to mention zucchini flower. Usually those get thrown out. We use them to create an entire second dish. Does that, oh,
Again?
I'm here to bring you your third course. It's the vines from your zucchini.
we'll have a little zucchini stem pasta. A different experience of zucchini. When we start to think differently about our food, we can get a lot more out of it.
This is delicious.
What do you think we can make out of this? 40% of food in America is never eaten. Cook it, store it, share it. Visit savethefood.com.
Hi, and welcome back to Bergen Stages Television. Today we've been talking with two of the actors from our upcoming production, 12 Angry Jurors. We have Sean Kane and Ebra Anil joining us today talking about it. And we've learned a lot about your background to get us into this, but I'd really like to talk specifically about this particular show. And during the break, Sean and I were kind of talking about its origins. You want to share a little bit of the origins of this production?
Well, it was originally a made for TV, and back in, I think it was 1954 when it was live television. And so the script was very much about the interaction, and back then I don't believe they did edits or anything because it was live.
It was going, yeah.
And then in *57 they adapted it for the movie,
Right.
with Henry Fonda.
Yes.
And then they did it again in '97, and Jack Lemmon.
But kept it in the 50s.
Yes.
Gentleman version kept it in the 50s. We're
Yeah.
in 63. I think we're putting ours in about 63.
I believe so.
62, 63.
But
yeah.
even in the '97 version, they actually had a couple of African Americans, which of course weren't in the
Wouldn't have happened.
'57.
Yeah.
You know, so it was interesting to learn a little bit of that background, and it must have been amazing to do that original one.
Yeah, and so it's adapted by Sheldon Sergel, who has adapted the original television show, which in the 50s, having 12 angry men, a male jury was more common. But by the time you get in the 60s, of course, women were a part of it, and obviously heading into that '97 version, you know, having African Americans on this jury.
Right. Now it was 12 Angry Men, and there were no women on it, but that does.
But they
add
did
to
have
the
women on the jury.
dynamics.
But you know, it
Yeah.
just depends on that era that they were allowing women. Different states had allowed women to be on jury at different times, but this
Correct.
is set in New York. Right?
I believe
We're in
so.
New York.
York.
Yeah, in
Yeah.
New York.
It
So,
plays in New York.
yeah, there were definitely women on juries in the by the 60s
60s.
in New York. So the script really hasn't changed. The words of the script hasn't. It's just the gender of a few of the jurors.
Yeah,
Correct?
and therefore we have had to make adjustments to pronouns and things of that nature. So, and that's really important because the script, of course, you know, was always he or gentleman.
Right.
And
Oh, right,
yeah,
right.
so there was a lot of alteration in the pronouns and some of the descriptives. So it's been
That's
fun
interesting.
because
And I know there's a version of 12 Angry Women where it's an all-female jury
That's
too.
true.
So they've done taken
must
this and
be very
adapted it different ways, which obviously is allowed to do according to the script. You can do this with a mixed gender jury, whatever you want to do with it. Gosh, there's so much to talk about in this particular play. So the story is it begins with you just wrapping up a trial, yeah?
correct.
And what was the trial about?
A 19-year-old being accused of killing his father. And something that I found interesting too is different versions, the age of the kid who killed his father also differs. So our version is 19-year-old, but I've read other one that was younger.
Wow.
I thought that's very
Well, that makes
interesting.
a difference too.
Yeah, because it makes a difference. 19's also very young, but still you could hold and against a 19-year-old other than a 16-year-old, for example.
Right. Different laws and
Right.
things like that.
And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that this kid may get a life sentence or
Yes.
the death sentence.
Or the death sentence.
Yes.
Yeah.
And whereas a 16-year-old wouldn't,
True.
that wouldn't happen.
A different feeling for it. So at the top of the show, you all come into this deliberation room. The jury comes into the table and deliberates. And if you've been on a jury, you know what that's like to sit around the table and talk. But the important thing, because it's a murder trial, it has to be unanimous, right? Everybody.
Yes, otherwise it's a hung jury.
Or it's a hung jury. So that means all 12 of these jurors have to give a guilty or a not guilty verdict. There's no in
Correct.
between. And so that's where the drama lies, is somebody's holding out.
Yes.
At first,
At
it's
the
just
first.
one.
Yeah. One person's just like, I just don't think.
And one of the other things to remember is the setting. It's, they've been going to this trial for 6 days.
Right.
And there's no air conditioning. It's hot.
It's summer.
It's summer.
Summertime
In
the
New York
city.
City.
In New York City.
Yep. So, I mean, all that
Raining,
is
humid.
all that just
delicious
leads,
feeling.
and it's also a wonderful aesthetic when we come in, because you hopefully will be able to see that in the jurors.
Exhausted.
Yes.
The heat,
Yeah.
all this kind of, and you want to wrap it up.
Yeah.
It's like, this is obvious. Let's just kind of, do a
Yeah.
quick vote
Let's
and
go
get the
home.
heck out of here. You're done.
Yep.
And that's what doesn't happen, and keeps us in the theater for an hour and a half to watch what happens in it. And a lot of us have seen this story, and I don't think it'd be giving away too much, but the deliberation is that minds get changed and the conversation happens. Yeah, is that?
Yes. They are always trying to convince each other of their point of view. Oh, no, he's guilty or he's not guilty because of this, this, and that. At some point, it just gets, let's reproduce this or let's do that. We have to find a way of agreeing. But they keep on not agreeing.
Wow. What a great story for our times, too. That
Yes.
we're having such a polar opposites for so many things to watch this group. How you do work it out? How do you talk to each other
And it's a very diverse jury pool that we have here, and there is a lot of almost playing lawyer, because it's not just, okay, this is what they presented to us, but they actually think about it, and there's thought put into it, and it's a wonderful process of back and forth. But you see there's racism and there's all kinds of
The backgrounds, how influence on their decisions and their visions of how the kid is guilty or not guilty.
from their personal perspective.
Yes. So I think this is something very important. What counts when they are thinking of this case is, well, I lived in the same situation. It could be me being tried right now,
Wow, interesting. And so, as an actor, did each person kind of figure out their background and why they're coming from that perspective? Is that part of the challenge and the educational part of this story?
Well, Jared, of course, asked us each to kind of dig into ourselves, and whenever we come in, make sure that you're within your character. And one of the amazing things about this show is it's in the round, and there are no breaks. So
let's talk about that too.
No
Sean
breaks.
mentioned in the round. What does he mean by in the round? Because our audiences might not know what in the round means.
There's just go one take. You go.
No, I mean the audience is.
Oh, yeah. There's no, you can be seen from all sides. So there's audience all surrounding you.
With the table, the
The
deliberation
table is right in the middle. So the audience actually can see what you're writing, if you're writing anything. Because, of course, as jurors, you have to have your notes. So make sure that if you write anything, it has to do with the case. Because people could actually see it. They could see it. It's super close.
It's so intimate. Such an intimate scene. Such a difference from the Saccone, yeah?
Oh, yes.
And not only are they in the round, but Jared and Tom O'Neill, who's designed the set, have done something special with the audience in the round.
Yes, they are in jury boxes. So we're on trial.
Yeah.
It feels like we are being judged.
Like you're being judged by this audience.
And it just adds a whole different dynamic to it. And the thing is, like you said, it's not only that it's in the round and the audience is surrounding you and you don't have an escape. And every you can't turn around and be out of character.
Right.
You know,
Right.
everything
There's
has
not
to
a
be
moment to let down your
correct.
who you are.
But the space is so intimate, and that's one of the things I love about Ender Hall, is just the audience is part of the show. You know, even if there's a fourth wall there,
Doing it on proscenium like
Right.
that, you still feel that intimacy. And
correct.
they're right there.
But
with you.
now this is really just, you have to be in character the whole time.
It's a great idea, and the fact is what we're talking about is that each audience is in their own little section of 12 people to a jury, and they all sit around the theater watching this deliberation in the middle there, and you're brought into the room and the door's locked.
Yep.
I mean, you're basically no exit. You're in there until you're ready to come out. They're going to
Correct.
lock you, and we hear the lock and going, uh-oh, they're in there for the duration. And it's a 3-act play, but it really lends itself to just being one long act.
Yes.
So it's about an hour and a half, about 90 minutes long, pulling through there too. How are rehearsals going? How is this feeling of?
It's actually going very well.
Very well.
Jared really broke the script up well enough that, you know, people are keeping up with the memorization, but also the blocking. We've actually blocked the whole play already.
Wow, good.
And-
good.
The whole place.
So it's all staged where you're going to sit and where you're going to move around the room and
Correct.
reenact things.
And now it's just getting the lines down and being, you know, once you get the script out of your hands, you can do so much more. And you can elaborate on the characters.
And find things you've got to be doing with yourself while you're sitting there at a table waiting to talk about it.
Instead of
And-
reading it.
Right. And we did a photo shoot with you guys. So Marie Natalia's doing the costume, and you were wearing some fun costumes, yeah?
Yeah, very 60s. I really like the feeling of it. It feels very, very elegant.
Cool. And you wear rehearsal things too, so that you already have that feeling as well.
Yes, we wore shoes and the little handbags to get used to the feeling of having it. Some of us wore hats.
Oh right.
So
yeah.
at
'Cause it's
some
a
point
period to
you
wear
will,
hats and all
yes,
that sort of thing.
at some point you're gonna put your hat on. At some point you take it off. So all this playing is important to have the props.
And jackets because of the
Yes.
heat, and do you roll up your sleeve and all those kind of things? That's stuff to think about. You think
Yeah.
it's so simple to do a play, but no, there's all those little.
But Marie made me look really good.
you look sharp. Yeah,
Ta-
yeah,
tailored
yeah.
my
We'll share
suit
the
and
picture with the
everything.
audience,
Yeah,
the
it's-
publicity shot there
yes.
too. But and then we have Vic Garcia's doing props. There's a few props. It's a minimal prop show in there.
Correct.
Things that you have to touch in the show, except all these things you're fiddling with. We have Miru Kim doing the lighting design, which is a challenge because you don't want lights going on the audience's eyes. So she's having to design these lights for in the round there. And then we have a wonderful sound designer, Dean Matson, just kind of putting together the sound design there. So now in this rehearsal process, you're all blocked. And then what do you get to do? You were saying something, how great it is now that the blocking is done.
Right. Well, you got the scripts, you know, as you memorize things and you get the scripts out of your hands, your characters start to build and you find things to do. And also there's some very energetic scenes in the play that, you know, you can't really get that feel with scripts in your hands. So once you get those out
and fiddling with things in your purse, like you go in your purse to get a compact
Yeah,
out.
get a compact, check how you're looking, you're sweaty, so you grab something to.
And you don't think about that when you got a script in your hand because that's what you're working with. Once it's gone, it's like, now what am I going to do with these hands? I got to do something. So it's a great discovery period. So you guys are in a great process. This is my favorite part of a play, is discovering those kind of things and watching the actors, as a director, watching the actors come up with these things, and that's wonderful. And then we open. So we'll go into technical rehearsals, and then we open. We open on February 25th, coming up, and we run 2 weekends. So it's a Thursday, it's Friday night opens, 2 on Saturday, and then the next weekend we do Thursday, Friday, and 2 on Saturday
Correct.
again. So there's 7 opportunities to see this show. So guys, we're done. It's so great to have you on the show and just to chat about this. So thank you, Ebora and Sean, for being a part of the show. Thank you for watching. Please come and see our production of 12 Angry Jurors. It'll be in the Ender Hall Lab Theater. Get your reservations at tickets.bergen.edu. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you at the theater. Thanks.